listening to Her Profit Era, the podcast for founders who want a business that actually works. A business that's profitable, predictable, and pays them well. I'm Cindy Kumar, a CPA, a fractional CFO from Abbotsford, BC, Canada. I'm the person founders call when they're tired of high revenue months with no money left over. I started this podcast because too many founders were chasing sales while their margins, cash flow, and bank accounts told a completely different story. I believe profit and money in the bank is the standard, not a bonus, and that every founder deserves clarity around their numbers. Each week, you'll get real financial strategy you can actually use and honest conversations with founders and industry experts about what it really takes to build a business that lasts. When I talk to business owners and ask them how did they price their services, I usually get a pause and then one of these three answers. So number one, I just came up with a price that I thought was fair. Two, I just looked at industry averages. Three, I just looked at competitors' pricing on their website and I just used the exact same numbers. Now ask yourself, how does that make sense when your goals, your costs are going to look so different from a competitor or even the industry averages? Even industry averages, like, why are you trying to be average? Aren't you trying to be the best in your industry? Like, how does that make sense? Really ask yourself. Now, your costs are not the same. How much you want to pay yourself? Your rent looks different. If you want to sell your business one day, that's going to look different from someone that doesn't want to sell their business. If you don't have team members or contractors, but industry averages or your competitors have them, then how does any of that make sense? I feel like a lot of us, when we start our businesses, we have no idea how to price our services. So we're just like, okay, like, let's just look at somebody else. And this is like, I feel like it's standard in our society. Like, people just don't think about pricing the same way they think about like profit or like money in their bank or like how many things or how many services do I need to sell in order to hit my revenue goal. So I want you to understand that like pricing has a strategy behind it. You can't just go into it blindly copying someone else, undercharging, or using like your industry averages because those numbers aren't accurate. Those numbers don't reflect what your costs are, what you want your profit to be. You need to look at what you want your business to look like in the long run. So, really, if you're charging a premium and you want to work with less clients, then it's like, okay, does the math actually make sense? So you need to really sit down and ask yourself, for one client's service, how much time do I put in? How much do my contractors put in? How much do my employees put in? Like, how much time and how much is getting paid to those costs? If you're paying for a subscription or even like rent, how does that factor into like your pricing? So, for example, I'm working with a floral preservation business. It takes her 8 to 12 months for the turnaround time. So, from beginning of the client saying, yes, I want this done, to her delivering the product, it takes 12 months. But she just came up with like 3 different packages based on frame sizes and was like, okay, these are my prices. But she never factored in the cost of rent into that because she's holding on to those flowers for 12 months, which is taking up space in her studio. But she's never thought about like adding a percentage of rent into her pricing. Another thing is that her supplier for the frames, they ran out of inventory. So now she's like purchasing frames and glass like from Amazon. So now her costs have increased and she hasn't changed her prices. So it's like your prices need to reflect all of your costs. If your costs are changing, your pricing also needs to change. You can't just set your prices once and think, okay, like this is it. Because let's say, for example, with inflation, 3 to 5% every single year. So your costs are going up by a minimum 3%. So guess what? Your prices need to reflect that. So if you're listening to this and you're just like, okay, like I followed a competitor or I took the industry averages or I just came up with a random number and you're just like, okay, like I don't want to run my business that way anymore. Here's some action steps you can take. So number one is really sit down, either use a Google Sheets, a notepad, and write down like all the things involved in providing that service. So, example with the flower preservation, I just sat down with her on our last call looking at okay, if she got the glass in the frame from her original supplier, what does that cost? Now, if she's getting from Amazon, what does that cost? What's the shipping cost for each frame size? She has like tape, the bubble wrap, all those kind of things. We need to look at like how much of that is she putting into each frame when she ships it out. She gets like labels made, a little card, all those kind of things. We have to look at it from okay, like if she's shipping out one frame, how much does that card cost for that one client? Now, for the rent amount, we're looking at okay, like how many flowers can she do per year? Then we're taking her rent cost, dividing by the number of flowers, and then we're putting that amount into her pricing. So we're building out her costs directly into her pricing so that it actually reflects her true costs. Because if you're just like, okay, like I'm going to charge like $500 per frame, but you don't look at like how much it's actually costing you, like that just does not work. Like you really need to look at your numbers and there's like a strategy and formula to like pricing your services. So, number one is to look at all the costs involved for each service and each package. So, if you offer three packages, look at like how much time is involved per package, what the hourly rate is, if you're shipping products, what does that look like? How much glue, tape, marketing cards, whatever it is, put that in. Then you're looking at how much profit do you want to make per service or per package. So let's say you want 20%, then you take 20% of your revenue and you add that into your costs. Then I want you to look at like what percentage of your revenue for that service do you want to pay yourself? Because a lot of times people just don't pay themselves because there's never money in the business or the amount that they're collecting from a client's never included their pay. But if you have that percentage already built in, let's say it's like 50%, then 50% of every time you get paid, that amount needs to be paid to you. So, really looking at your cost, your profit percentage, add a percentage of your pay. If there's specific expenses like the flower preservation, her rent, for example, we're building that into the pricing so that when her clients pay her, that amount coming in is going directly towards her rent. That amount's going directly to paying herself because we already put that into her pricing. So I really want you to just take a step back. And if your pricing doesn't work for like your cost structure, it's okay to change it. You can change your pricing at any point of time. You don't have to wait until January. You don't have to wait until like a quarter after. Like you can change your pricing at any point in time. And if your clients are on like a monthly retainer or yearly contract, you can just let them know like this pricing is good until this period, but we're restructuring things. So our prices are going to be going up As soon as I know what it's going up by, I'll send you a new proposal, a new contract, and we'll do that. And then you just have yearly contracts. Don't do anything for like 3 years, 5 years, because then you're stuck with that same pricing. Whereas like your costs are increasing year over year, and your pricing needs to change, whether you do it every 5 clients, on a yearly basis, every 6 months. Like, it needs to increase, and you need to have a formula behind your pricing so that you're actually profitable. So that's it for today's episode. If you found it helpful, share it with a friend who also needs to hear it, and I'll see you next time. If you're a founder who wants real strategy, not noise, and you want someone in your corner helping you build a business that feels aligned, is profitable, and actually supports your life, you can apply for CFO on Call. This is my one-on-one financial partnership for established founders, typically making between $500K to $2 million, who want clarity, who want structure and confidence with their numbers. The link is in the show notes, so you can schedule a profit strategy call, or you can DM me CFO on Instagram at @CindyKamar, and I'll send over all the details.